So, disclosure day. There's some weird shit happening, especially for Margaret, played by Emily Blunt. All of a sudden, she's a weather girl, weather woman, and all of a sudden, she starts to be able to see into people's lives and what they're thinking, like some kind of psychic. And so obviously she's panicked and she wants to try and find out what's going on. At the same time, there's a man played by Josh O'Connor who is on the run from some governmental agency because he's took off with evidence of aliens. And these two characters don't know each other, but they have some kind of psychic connection.
Whatever happens, don't you let go.
So one of the things I really liked about this film is it was quite mysterious. You didn't really always know what was happening, so it was like little puzzle pieces that you had to kind of think through. And considering so many films are just kind of a lot of exposition and give everything away at once, this was quite nice to have it done like this. The Life of Chuck also did it a bit like this, although it became obvious during it what it was about. And same with this, it became, it revealed itself. But I like the fact that it didn't just kind of come out right away with a big setup and lots of exposition. And the exposition it did was very uh, fluid, it fit in.
The data they paid me to protect.
So this film is based on an original story by Steven Spielberg, but it was adapted for film by David Koepp. Now, I don't think he did he did a fairly good job, but it wasn't as good a job as maybe he could have done. There were a couple of loose ends, a couple of things that weren't resolved that well, and some lines and themes, such as the vague religious theme, which was kind of touched on but not explored and not really done particularly well. So I mean, it was written fine, it was written competently, but not greatly, perhaps. And the religious kind of bits around the edge didn't really work. They were a wee bit ludicrous. There wasn't the dilemma in them that the writer seemed to think there was, in my opinion. So there's no spoilers in this review. But one thing I would say is there was one particular part of the ending that I thought just left you hanging a bit too much. That's all I'll say. It's a pretty good film. Emily Blunt, she's amazing in it. I mean, she's a very good actress. But there was also, I mean, not only did she carry the film, but there was also some pretty good acting in the way of suddenly, if she was the one who did it, suddenly launching into speaking Russian or speaking in clicks, things like that. Now, assuming there wasn't some voiceover or other trickery, then she did a great job. But just carrying the film, she did a really good job. I like her in pretty much everything that she does. And Josh O'Connor, who was the man, who was her kind of parallel. See, these two characters have some kind of relationship with the aliens, we're led to believe. Although they don't know this and we don't know it for sure until in the film you find out a little bit more. And Josh O'Connor is also really good in this as the man who's her kind of compatriot. His gifts are not languages and psychic, they're more being able to understand patterns of the universe. We don't hear too much about his gift, not as much as we do about Margaret's, Emily Blunt's character's gift, but it's still a very interesting premise. And he's terrific in it, and the chemistry between those two is just lovely. It's really good. So, despite the fact there were a couple of little bits that didn't get pulled off as well, Overall, this film had me hooked. I thought it was entertaining, a good film. Steven Spielberg loves his alien films. It was John Williams who scored it, who's in retirement, but Spielberg went to him and said, or persuaded him to do it. So Spielberg went to him and persuaded him to do it. And he worked with a cinematographer that he's worked with for many, many, many years since Schindler's List. And while not everyone is a fan of this, I thought it was quite good and enjoyable. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.